Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the meeting is on Facebook Live. It is being recorded for city staff. It appears you do have a quorum. I do see Commissioner Biggerstaff, Commissioner Young, Commissioner Isaacoff, Commissioner Scott as an alternate, and Commissioner Lamont, and Assistant City Attorney Tony Baker.
Thank you, Troy. Seeing as it's 1 minute past 1:30, we'll call this meeting to order. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is the March meeting of the Greensboro Minimum Housing Standards Commission. We are concerned here with everything that happens above the ground, which means everything involving repairs to structure on real property. And for each case we hear today, there will be a list of violations that the inspectors have found at properties, and we're looking for a clear solution going forward. We're looking for plans, funding, contractors hired, things like that. A couple administrative items. If you could turn off anything that's gonna ring, chirp, anything like that, especially with us doing virtual meetings, that's especially important to make sure that everyone can hear each other, that everything gets down. A couple other changes from our normal procedure. Since this is virtual, every vote will be a roll call vote. And we would ask that when folks speak, you identify yourself by name, including commissioners, if y'all could do that. For anyone who is here before a case, we'll swear you in case by case. Moving on, I know that we have some minutes that have been dispersed among the commission, both from the public session on January 14th and on the minutes from the meeting on February 11th. Those have been dispersed. Are there any motions on that?
So if I can, on the meeting minutes from February 11th, there was one change requested about on page, it's on the front of that particular, the minutes from that meeting, where it says approval of minutes from January 14th. Commissioner Scott did not do a nay. We're going to change it to the commission voted 4-0 in favor of the motion. He was not able to vote for that one.
Thank you for that update.
And thank you. I'll note that for future minutes. I appreciate it.
Are there any other changes to the past minutes? Seeing none, I'd entertain any motions on those past minutes.
This is Commissioner Lamont. I move we accept the minutes with the amendments.
I second that.
Seeing a motion in a second, I'll call the question.
Do I need to poll the commission members for you, Chairman Isaacoff?
Yes, please, just because we're virtual, that's easier to get everyone on record.
Happy to do so, thank you. Commission Member Biggerstaff?
Yes.
Commission Member Young?
Yes.
Commission Member Isaacoff?
Yes.
Commission Member Scott?
Yes.
And Commission Member Lamont?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, that passes unanimously. Regarding today's agenda, I'd ask city staff if there's any changes.
Mr. Chairman.
Chairman Isaacoff, I think Commissioner Brown is now online.
Oh, wonderful. Is he joining?
I've been sitting here. I was wondering if he was going to call my name out, but he didn't. So I just was quiet and listened.
Mr. Brown, I apologize. I did not know you were present for the meeting.
Troy did. Troy, why didn't you say something? You see I'm on here.
I did. This Assistant City Attorney requested the names of the commissioners. I did share them. So Mr. Baker can record your vote.
So, Mr. Baker, just so you know, I am a commissioner. I represent District 1. I recognize it's probably the first time we got a chance to meet. Hopefully next time in later meetings, you won't leave me out of the roll call vote. But if that's necessary, just let me know and I'll make amends.
No worries, and apologize. It certainly was not intentional. For the minutes, Commission Member Brown, do you approve those minutes?
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Also, Mr. Chairman, just a point of order for your meeting. Commissioner Scott's vote was recorded. You do have one regular member vacancy on your commission. If the alternate is going to participate as a voting member, now would be the best time to acknowledge that, so that his video feed and votes can be acknowledged in the record.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. And noting that we are absent a regular member, Mr. Scott, will you be willing to serve as a member, a voting member for this commission today?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. So we will have Mr. Scott filling in as alternate today. Moving on to any staff changes to the agenda.
Yes, sir. We need to withdraw number 6 for no consent and number 10 for compliance. And I also would like to make a minor, just point out something minor. When we get to the case number 8, the fact sheet request indicates a request to order to repair. It's actually an order to demolish.
And I believe that's represented on my version of the case doc.
It's on the fact sheet, sir. That's what I was referring to.
Thank you.
Fact sheet.
Are there any other staff changes to the agenda?
Have any?
Seeing none, one thing I want to add to the agenda is the commissioners received the resignation letter of our vice chair. I understand that vacant seat will be filled by city council. In the meantime, the position of vice chair is open for any commission member to run for. And my understanding of procedure is that it would be proper to have that vote at the end of this meeting. So I'd like to add that as an agenda item.
You said that there was a letter of resignation?
Yes, Vice Chair Nazem has resigned from the commission. It was sent out.
I never got that.
Mr. Brown, let me look that up because I know I sent that out to everyone. Yes, sir, I sent that out to you 2 days ago. I'm looking at the email right now.
I'll be sure to check against the junk folder. Is there any way you can resend it? You don't do it right now. You don't do it right now. It can wait.
All right.
I'm pretty sure it just says I resign, blah, blah, blah. Pretty standard.
I'm showing that one out to all the commissioners, yourself included, on March 9th at 2:07 p.m.
All right, then I'm pretty sure it's somewhere. I'll find it.
All right. So we will add that as an agenda item at the end of the docket. We'll begin with swearing in any city staff who plan on testifying.
Hold on just a second. I don't see the court reporter.
Oh, sorry. Do you all swear that everything you say is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please Please proceed. Sorry about that delay.
Thank you. And normally we'd swear in any members of the public that are going to testify, but for means of making it easier for the virtual process, we're going to do that on a case-by-case basis. So I understand moving on to the docket, number 6 has been removed for no consent. Our first case that we'd be hearing is 2204 South Benbow Road.
I can read in the case, but I'm not sure if Mr. Shaw is on the call. For 2204 South Benbow Road, the date of initial inspection was July 17th, 2020. The date of the hearing was August 6th of 20. The order to demolish was issued September 4th, 2020 and expired October 4th, 2020. The property did not have to be secured. There are children in the area. There is a school nearby. There is not a history of police complaints. The city is requesting an order to demolish as the repair costs are 83% of the tax value.
Thank you. And do we have Mr. Shaw here? Mr. Jayshree Shaw? Or has any inspector heard from Mr. Shaw?
I both called and sent a text to Mr. Shaw earlier today. I did get a response back from him through a text message, just thanking me for sending the message and reminder about today's meeting. I have not heard anything else since then, but I'm way more than happy to try to reach out to him again and see if we can get him in for this meeting.
I suppose we could hold that one open if you would like to participate. If not, my understanding is we would take this off the docket due to no homeowner consent. So would it be fair, Mr. LaRue, if you're willing to reach out to him, we'll keep that open for now and move on to the next one?
Sounds good to me.
Thank you. Our next case is item 8916 Silver Avenue.
For 916 Silver Avenue, the date of initial inspection was March 10th, 2020. The date of the hearing was March 23rd, 2020. The order to demolish was issued May 11th, 2020, expired June 11th, 2020. The property did not have to be secured. There are children in the area. There is a school nearby. There is not a history of police complaints. We are seeking an order to demolish as the repair costs are 86% of the tax value.
Thank you.
And Omar, who's the son, was supposed to be here to represent.
Do we have anyone? Sorry?
I'm sorry, this is Inspector Williams. I'm sorry, sir. I don't see Omar on the Zoom. I did speak with him last week by phone and text, and he said that he would be on this meeting. And I did send him a reminder this morning with the link along with the rehab packet, an application, and I have not heard back from him from this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. I see this kind of the same as the last case. I would prefer that folks get here and are able to speak for their cases. Is there any opposition from the commission to holding this one open as well?
I would like to state that, we, in the inference of time for all the commissioners, if someone's not here, I think holding over to see if we could reach them and try to get them to get here, or I guess the staff could, kind of weighs in on some of our time out here in the field. So I was just wondering if we can kind of, not have a large time window as we're trying to get people to do what, I mean, there is no penalty for missing at this point because we're not meeting in person yet. And I think that if we were meeting in person, it'd be a little different. But I think, like I said, the inference of time, that we should just keep moving forward and we can just reschedule it for another time.
And my only concern is, I understand everyone has jobs. It's difficult to set aside this time to be here, especially with technology issues. I want to make sure we give everyone the best opportunity to have their case heard.
I 100% agree with you.
Folks
I think that this is a good point, that, there is no harm, no foul at this point. We're not like we're going to rule on it. We just have to wait till they can come on in and we can get with them.
And that's what I'm recommending, is let's hold this open, give them a little time. I don't know what circumstances are happening in their life, but.
Are you saying give them more time today? As in, like, we sit around and wait for them to get on the call and call them up and try to track them down? I'm not for that. I'll be the first to say, I don't know if I'm going to sit around all day and try to chase people down.
Holding a case open means we'll go through the rest of the cases and then go back to that case. And if they're not here at that point, then we would make a decision.
I don't think we can make a decision if they're not here, correct? Is that right, counsel? We can't rule on their case until they're here and have approved to an online meeting, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. And I don't think Commissioner Isaacoff is suggesting that we rule on the case. I think he's suggesting that we wait to the end of the meeting. If they haven't shown up, then we'll continue their case to the next meeting. But we'll at least give them to the end of the meeting to appear.
My main concern is making sure everyone has their day in court.
They're going to get another day. What would we do if we wasn't online? What would we do?
If we were in person, we would proceed. They've had notice and we would proceed. The online is the exception. We can't proceed without their consent. So we won't make a decision on their case, but we can give them to the end of our meeting to appear. If they haven't appeared by then it's going to be continued.
Regardless, right?
Yeah, regardless.
What do you think, Commissioner Young?
This is Commissioner Lamont. I think we set a precedent in person when we understood somebody would be there. We would say, well, let's hold it open and see if they show up. So I don't think this is any different than that.
I would concur.
My sense is that any calls that the inspectors can make at last minute just to see if Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so is somehow they made a mistake or they're 10 minutes behind or whatever, that's purely, as far as I'm concerned, a courtesy call. They've already been duly notified. So if they come through, they come through. But I don't think it should be delaying us any further.
Thank you.
I agree. And what about the other commissioner, Carolyn? You have any ideas on it?
This is how we have always done it. If somebody isn't here, we put them, we give them as much time as possible on the meeting. And then since we have no other guidelines, if they're not here today, then they'll be on the next meeting when they can. This is no different than what we've been doing. And I think that when we continue to discuss something like this, we're really kind of wasting everybody's time. I think we should just go as we always do.
Thank you.
Well, let's keep going.
So items 7 and 8 on the docket will be held open. We'll address those at the end of the regular docket. Next up on our agenda is 4421 Cornell Avenue. This is a Chapter 17 case.
Mr. Chairman, just to let you know, I'm letting Commissioner Waddell should be entering the room.
Wonderful. Thank you, Troy.
So for the Chapter 17, 4421 Cornell Avenue, the date of initial inspection was January 6, 2021. The order to demolish was issued January 6, 2021. Today is the hearing, and we are requesting an order to demolish as the repair cost is 206% of the tax value. And I believe Mr. Smith is on the call for that.
Do we have Mr. Reginald Smith here?
Yes.
Sir?
Yes.
Oh, hello, Mr. Smith.
I'm here. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing, sir?
Let's go ahead and swear him in real quick. Hello, Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Do you swear that everything you say is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right. Please proceed. Thank you.
And may I please give him the waiver for the virtual hearing, please?
Yes, please.
Mr. Smith, you're attending this hearing at your consent. I have a waiver that I need to read to you and then seek your consent. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Thanks, sir. You have a right to an in-person hearing regarding the code violations on your property. If you choose to have an in-person hearing, the case will be postponed until such time that we are able to conduct in-person hearings. During that period, the commission will not make any findings regardless of the property or issue any orders against you. However, you will continue to accrue civil penalties and re-inspection fees for monthly safety inspections. With that said, do you now consent to this virtual hearing?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. So let's talk about what's going on at this property.
Okay. Well, my main thing is financially. On far as getting something done to it. My second opportunity was just get it towed down and then put another shed down.
Mm-hmm. And what progress have you made since the violations were assessed?
Well, I got an estimate of turning it down, which I can't afford. I got an estimate of turning it down of $2,500. But I'm saying if I can get a few of my fellows to do it myself and get a commercial dumpster, we probably can tear it down ourselves. Cut down the cost on it.
Mm-hmm.
How much time do you think you're gonna need to do that?
I'm gonna need at least about 3 or 4 months, to get people together and get my money together to get a commercial dumpster so I can get it towed down.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we extend this case out 6 months, like we did for that house on MLK that is in the historical district. On the grounds that
Chapter 17, Quentin?
Yeah, Chapter 17. Yeah. The reason why I'm saying that though is because clearly it's a financial issue, and right now during the pandemic with the financial hardship, I don't think it's fair to be able to expect people to be able to cover some of these financial burdens with what's going on right now. Perhaps once the stimulus gets signed, he'll have enough money to be able to tear it down, and we won't even have to see it again because it'll be under 6 months. Not to mention, we did give that other guy, I think he's been working on his house for 7 years, so we did just opt to give him 6 months to work on it. And so that's just my motion.
Which one was that?
That was the one that I want to say it's on MLK, and they're trying to do rehabilitate it.
You remember the address?
I don't remember the address. I just remember that it went back. Maybe city staff can reference it for us right quick.
Mr. Brown, I'll tell you, I'm in agreement on giving some extra time here. It sounds like there is the formulations of a plan to do something, which
right.
I expect that Mr. Smith has come here, taking his time, said that.
Mr. Chairman, I believe the property that was being referenced is the historical structure. And under your rules for boards and commissions, the commission can treat a historic structure differently than they do treat other structures. The inspector's case in this situation here is a public safety hazard as the roof has collapsed and is collapsing.
Is there children in the area?
The case referenced, was that Mr. Marple?
Right, there you go.
There are children in the area.
Do children live in are people going in and out of the structure, or is it roped off? Can the structure be secured in a way that is roped off where no one can enter it? I guess that would be for the owner. So there's a fence that basically can keep people out.
Yeah. Well, I'm the only one going in and out of it.
I figured you were, sir. I figured you was. So my motion stands for 6 months because we gave Mr. Marple 7 years, pretty much. But I feel like this guy, this landowner here is going to be able to get it done in 6 months. That's my motion.
Mr. Brown, I'm just concerned in terms of precedent. The case you're referencing was a historical preservation district. This is not. What we're
I got you.
What we're doing,
I totally understand what you're saying.
Precedent. So I want to make sure you're not saying that we're doing this because we've done it before. You're saying this is a new thing.
Well, the reason I'm saying we're doing it is because the other individual didn't even have really a plan of when he could get stuff going. He just asked for more time. And, you know, the board and the commission has pretty much given him whatever he's asked for. And his plan is shady, to say the least. And what I mean by shady is he's always waiting for some factor that's out of his control. This individual has a factor within his control.
If I remember from that case, he wasn't waiting. He's done a substantial amount of work and done a substantial amount of lobbying and filing of relevant paperwork to get it marked as historical.
If I'm not mistaken, what I heard was that he was trying to make sure that he was receiving all the tax credits, if I'm not mistaken. So in any case, this case here is just a financial one. He has to get his money together, or he has to get some people that can help him tear it down. And I don't understand why we would give Mr. Marple such a large amount of time due to the fact that it's an older structure and there's no point. He plans to rent that property out and then sell it. He don't even plan to live there. And this property here is not going to be any housing whatsoever. It's behind someone's house and they're just trying to demolish it for the most economical means because they can't afford anything else. Like, this is a simple one. So we're giving the person that has money more time, and we're taking it to the person who doesn't.
Mr. Brown, if you don't mind my saying something, I'd just like to say that this is a question of safety, neighborhood safety, children's safety. I think it's great to give the landowner as much time as he needs. I just want to make sure that it's safe. Fences can be breached by all kinds of people, and if perhaps the inspector could speak in on the safety of this, I'd feel a lot better about it.
It's fenced in.
Mr. Chairman, could I just try to get some clarification on some of the paperwork that's before us?
Yes, sir.
So I'm seeing that there's this is a Chapter 17 nuisance dangerous structure versus an actual residential house, right? And it's got a different kind of form here that doesn't include stuff like this is in Cornell Ave. It doesn't give stuff like the council district. It doesn't seem to say stuff like, are there children in the area, history of police complaints and all that kind of stuff. Is this structure being is this structure evaluated on a different criteria to the point of Commissioner Biggerstaff's statement about the unsafety and stuff? Is this evaluated on in the same kind of way as a residence?
No, it's not. And thank you for raising that point, Mr. Young. Chapter 17 cases have a different standard of condemnation than other cases. So here we do not do that analysis because public officials have already determined that this is an imminent danger to the safety, morals, and welfare of people within the city of Greensboro.
So just to be clear, inherently in Chapter 17, like the language you're using, it is an inherent imminent danger. Is that what you're saying?
That's my understanding. That these are urgent cases that are brought before us.
Okay, just another point to the owner, Mr. Smith. When I'm looking at our documents, and I'm not sure if you got them, but the documents I'm looking at say the value of your building right now is $3,800. And the estimated cost of repairs, which I know is just an estimate that the city puts out there, they're saying it's $7,821. And you were saying that the demolition thing was going to cost like $12,000. So I mean, for me, in my ears, $12,000 sounds like a whole lot. But if I was just going by these numbers, then I know dollars are something that are an issue to you. But it almost looks like it, you know, you could repair it if you wanted to do that rather than to knock it down. But do you have the same, did you get the same figures from the city that the estimated cost of repairs is 7,800 something?
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't know if anyone can help out Mr. Smith, because the numbers I've always heard since being a commissioner was that knocking down a residential structure, which I guess would be bigger than this, was going at $10,000, and Mr. Smith is finding a price like 12,000. So I don't know if we can be of help to him in suggesting that he could look around and maybe find something cheaper.
Sure, and that does seem, this seems like a garage. Is that fair?
Yes.
Yeah. 10 to 12 is what we're looking at for full homes. You could probably do cheaper, sir.
I think he stated he was trying to get it done himself for under 2,000, but he would just need time to be able to do that. That's why I motioned it out for 6 months, so he would have the time to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm not opposed to saying let's give a little bit of time, but I want to hear more about exactly what's done.
So in continuing with what Commissioner Brown was suggesting, you know, regardless of whether people think it's a fair comparison to the historical structure, I'm all in favor of giving Mr. Smith more time. As we do know, yes, this is we're saying it's in big danger. He doesn't have the dollars. We're in the middle. We are still in the middle of COVID. So I'm all in favor of giving him more time to try to get this thing resolved.
I 100% agree.
Young.
Can I ask a question? Since this is the first chapter 17 I've seen. Is it if we uphold the inspector, that means the city will come and take it down? Is that correct?
And charge him.
Yeah.
The city will be
This is chapter
required.
17.
The city will be required to wait 90 days and allow the owner to comply. And then after the 90-day period, if the structure scores high enough for the public safety concerns, then the city at that time can act to remove the structure.
And when we say we charge, does that mean there's a lien on the property, or do we send bills?
Yep. Nope,
If the anytime a structure is considered for demolition, we're required to have an asbestos testing contractor check the structure for asbestos. If there is any, we're required to have the abatement contractor to remove it, and then the demolition contractor is then permitted to remove the structure.
And
if
can you explain to her how the bill works?
The owner will be issued a bill by the collections division, and if that bill is not paid within the required time frame for the collections division, then they would have to place a lien onto the property.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood. Thank you.
I got a question.
Go ahead,
yes, sir.
By me turning it down myself, what other size can I put there for a little shed? Which size can I go with for putting something else there?
That would be a question that staff would refer you to the planning department for zoning to ensure that your accessory structure complies with the side yard and rear yard setbacks to see how close you can place your building to the line. And also the chief building inspector might have something to add.
Yeah, I was just sitting ready to say you can build a 12-foot by 12-foot building without a permit anywhere in the state of North Carolina. As long as it's one story, single family.
Okay.
So,
Sheffield, this is kind of like an obscure question, but like, could the owner just quote unquote extensively repair the building without having to do any?
He's allowed to re-roof that building without any permits.
Yeah, okay, got it. So he could build on I'm assuming there's a foundation there already.
Yes.
Like he could just work on top of that if he wanted to. And I don't know if that would save him a few bucks here or there.
Yeah, but if it's if it's over 12 foot in any one dimension, he'd have to have a building permit.
Gotcha.
Okay, so in other words, if I had a roof fixed, I don't need no inspection.
May I interject, please? As legal counsel of the commission, we're getting well outside the scope of the issue. And I'm concerned that we may be giving Mr. Smith advice on building permit requirements. And I'm concerned that he may rely upon that advice to his detriment. So I'd rather defer him to the planning, zoning, and the permitting officials to make sure that he's getting, not that anybody on this call is incorrect, just don't want him to rely upon the advice he's receiving from this call because it is outside the scope of our purpose here.
Thank you.
To be clear, with the city staff, he does have the option to still repair this building himself, correct?
Yes.
I guess, hold on, sir. I was going to ask the city staff that. The city staff can tell you if you can repair. Is he still able to repair this building? I would imagine he can still repair it himself at his own cost, correct?
Yes, he is allowed to repair this building, even if he can repair it during any continuance of the commission, or if the commission upholds the decision, he can repair it in 90 days. If he is making those repairs, and even if 90 days expires, if the inspector reports back to me that sufficient work or that any work is being done to the structure, I'm not going to place the structure on the immediate demolition list.
Okay, so he can fix it anytime per us. So, okay. Well, my motion still stands. Whenever you're ready to call the question.
From what I'm understanding, we're not giving Mr. Smith any kind of advice. I think one of the ongoing concerns that we've had is just making sure that residents who come before us understand the full options in front of them, including the available services and stuff that exist in the city. Otherwise, I think most residents understand that, they have to do the due diligence and do all that other kind of stuff to check out and make sure that they're square with the city. So I just want to make that point too.
All right.
I got another question. I got another question.
Yes, sir.
If I do get repaired, right, will y'all still have to come out and inspect it?
There would need to be a verification that the violations that were found are no longer there. But if you repair it, if an inspector signs off on it, that would be resolved.
Okay.
It sounds like, it sounds like it's worthwhile. I did put a motion on the floor. Does anybody want to second it?
I'll second it. Commissioner Lamothe.
Thank you, Tracy.
Seeing a motion in a second, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the question.
Thank you. Commissioner Biggerstaff.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Isaacoff.
Yes.
Commissioner Scott.
Yes.
Commissioner Lamothe.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
And Commissioner Waddell.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right, that passes unanimously. So, sir, 6 months from now, we will be back in front of here September 9th of this year, sir.
Okay.
So do your best you can to take care of that. I wish you the best, and we'll see you back here on in 6 months, and stay in touch with your inspector, please.
Okay.
Thank you. So you get it fixed. You don't got to come back. If you get it torn down, you ain't gonna have to come back. But it gives you 6 months breathing time to get it done.
Okay.
Don't find yourself, if you can help it, try not to come back and just get it fixed. That way you're not worried about it or get it repaired, whatever you want to do with it. Do something though.
Okay. All right. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you, sir. All
Cameron,
right.
May I just say something real quick before we go to the next case?
Yes, please.
So I've been giving a lot of things a lot of thought, and I don't want this to be a long discussion, but I just wanted to say that we were sworn into this job. We're a quasi-judicial organization, unlike other commissions. And part of our task is to see each case on its own merits and its own scope and its own situation. And I think that losing any sight of that hurts the person who's standing before us. And I want, you know, we have to represent the people that we have to represent all of Greensboro. We're representing the people that are coming before us. We're representing the people who made the complaint. You know, the city's counting on us to make the decisions based on this, what is before us. And I want to really focus on that, if we could, please. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Noting that item 10 of our docket was removed due to compliance. We have some withdrawals, items 11 through 15.
Can I interrupt, please, sir? I'm sorry. We did have a representative, if you all would like to hear it. Number 8 has joined us. I apologize for the interruption.
Wonderful, thank you. And that's 916 Silver Avenue?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Nolasco?
And I'm requesting him to unmute, and if possible, could Jessica maybe pull to the side of the road for the hearing so he's not driving?
Yes. Can you give me 1 second, please?
Please drive safely.
Okay. Yes, hello.
Hello, sir. We're looking at your case right now on the docket for the property you own at 916 Silver Avenue.
Yes, sir.
Can we swear him in? Can we swear him in?
Yeah, can we swear him in?
And we'll get you sworn in.
Hello there, Mr. Nolasco.
Hello.
Do you swear that everything you say is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, I have a question for counsel before you do the part where you ask if the person is aware. I understand that I see now that there's like a script that I guess counsel may be reading or referring to.
Yes, sir.
When you explain to the person, which which will be Mr. Velasquez, I think, could you please go into more detail in the understanding of the true options that a person has? Case in point, meaning that the fact that if they decide not to have their case heard on over a digital media, that they will truly not be impacted. I sometimes feel like when we read just a script, that's just what it is. Like, hey, do you know this? Blah, blah, blah. And in certain situations, they can be, I wouldn't say a person is coerced, but I don't know if they understand the true meaning that there is no penalty for not having their case heard. And that's always something that's kind of like, it's kind of made my eyebrow go up, because in certain situations, after cases and things like that, when I sit back and think about it, I'm like, well, if the person had heard, if that person has really truly understood the level of understanding that we understand as commissioners, or as you understand as counsel, would they have made the same decision? If you just read something to them, they're like, oh yeah, I'm good, let's go forward with it. I'm okay whether we hear it or not, but I really think that we do them just like, I really feel like they need to understand that there is truly no penalty, and that, that they won't be, that, for instance, it's read that there's going to be a civil penalty that will still accrue till they see in person. Well, guess what? There's still going to be a civil penalty to either A, get it fixed, or it's upheld. So that's one thing that I don't think people truly understand. Like, there's going to be a civil penalty regardless. Like, you're going to get charged anyway. So the question is, I just really hope in counsel that, you can really relay that, because, some people might think that, well, I have my case heard, so I ain't going to get charged. And they don't understand that it's not going to be, the charges won't stop until it's either in compliance or demolished or upheld. It's either in compliance or upheld.
So, Commissioner Brown, I think you've said it well enough yourself, and I know Mr. Lasco has heard it. Let me read the script and see if I can add something to it to make sure that we've got everything covered. Mr. Nolasco, my name is Tony Baker. I'm Assistant City Attorney. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Thank you, sir. You have a right to an in-person hearing regarding the code violations on your property. If you choose to have an in-person hearing, the case will be postponed until such time we're able to conduct in-person hearings. During that period, the commission will not make any findings regarding the property or issue any orders against you. However, you will continue to accrue civil penalties and reinspection fees for monthly safety inspections. Do you now consent to a virtual meeting?
Yes.
So just to be clear, if we don't hear your case today, we're not going to make a decision today, but civil penalties will continue to accrue until either the issue is resolved or until the case is heard.
Okay. Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir, of course.
Okay. My question is, okay, we're working very hard in this house and we have making a lot of improvements. All the inspections, electrical, mechanical, plumbing is being passed. I call for, we siding, windows, framing, roofing. You probably have a video of this house that you can show on it too. Do I still gonna have penalties if you see the improvements? Not just sitting in my house, just waiting for the house is being just sitting out there. The thing is that we're working. We're working, but the time is, on inspections. Like yesterday, we called for insulation inspection. I met with Miss Sherry, my inspector, and then she said, I need to have appendix D. I need to have a LBL in one of the floor, ceiling joists. Then I had to call the engineer to get all this information. And then the engineer say, appendix B is only for commercial building. You don't need an LBL. You don't need an LBL if you don't have a second floor on this house. This is a small house. Why you need to have an LBL? So now I'm here sitting, waiting. I already called Miss Cherry. I said, well, this is what the architect says. I'm working on it, but I still have a penalty. I don't think it's fair. I think the people who should have penalties is the people that just sitting and left the house alone. We are working. I don't think it's fair, but anyways.
So let me address your questions one at a time. First, I want to make sure that you're consenting to the virtual hearing. Are we on the same page there?
Yes. Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Whether or not there's a civil penalty is a next step in the process. The first step we need to address is whether or not the issue today is whether or not the commission is going to issue the order requested on your property, which is an order to demolish. That's issue number one. If there are civil penalties that are issued, you'll have the right to appeal, to ask for a reduction. And if there's a reduction, you can appeal that reduction amount that would come back to the Housing Commission at a later time. The first question is whether or not the commission is going to issue the order to demolish, or whether they may continue your matter to give you more time to continue working on it.
Can I ask last question? Well, I'm gonna ask another question because I want to get this clear.
Mr. Nolasco, if we could, the commission has a procedure for us to present the case to them. Let's go back to the chair and let the staff present the case, and then let the commissioners hear your discussion.
Thank you. And
thank you.
Mr. Nolasco, I want to make sure you understand that you do have the right to object to this hearing, as our counsel has said. I understand Mr. Brown is submitting language to us before the next meeting that might be clearer in his mind. We'll expect that by April 1st, a week before the next meeting. But in the meantime, I want to make sure that you understand that you have the full right to have an in-person hearing.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Moving forward, we just want to know what your plans are with this property.
I don't think he's been sworn in yet, and I don't know that I read it in this case.
I thought he did get sworn in. He got sworn in. Yeah.
He's ready for you, Christy.
Okay. 916 Silver Avenue. The date of initial inspection was March 10th, 2020. The hearing was March 23rd, 2020. The order to demolish was issued May 11th, 2020, expired June 11th, 2020. The property did not have to be secured. There are children in the area. There is a school nearby. We are requesting an order to demolish as the repair costs were 86% of the tax value.
Thank you. Sir, if you could just tell us what's going on with this property.
I have a question. The person who came, it took a video.
Yes, sir.
Took video of the house. You can see the house now. There is no hazard. There is no trash. There is no nothing. You can see everything is done the proper way. We follow the codes with the city, and there is no hazard. So I don't know why this property now is still under the demolition list. You will see it. I want for you to see all the improvements for the house: new roof, new siding, new windows, new structure. It's very clean. We have made a lot of progress. Again, because we're working very hard. We're trying to bring everything up to code. As you see the house now, I'm pretty sure you have picture or video from the house before that you can tell right now in what situation. And to me, for this house to still be in a demolition list, I don't think it's fair for the way it is now. Now, I know I'm working on it, but it should be removed from that list. As you can tell, you can see the outside, you will see the inside now too. I mean, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. Once I'm finished, it's gonna have a, hello?
Yes, I was saying you're doing a great job.
Hey, city staff, do y'all not reassess the, as people get stuff cleared and I guess passed on their inspection list, does it not get reassessed or does it just stay in the same state?
It does get reassessed. It's supposed to be reassessed prior to every commission hearing. I'm looking at the report now.
Okay. The property is very clean all around. There is no hazard for nobody. Everything is nice, neat. And again, if you guys can help me, I would really appreciate it. Again, we're still working on it. Now I'm waiting for the Miss Cherry to tell me what kind of stuff is that she wants to do in order to get this insulation inspections. All the inspection has passed except for that one, except for the insulation inspection. That means that I cannot hang the drywall if I don't have the insulation inspection. Now I have everything inside. I have the drywall inside, the mud, tape, screws ready. We was ready actually yesterday to start hanging drywall. And we cannot do it now because the inspectors say they want an Appendix B, which I already went and talked to Mr. Will, the city guy. He said, well, you don't need Appendix B. I talked to my engineer, you don't need Appendix B. So now I called Miss Cherry, left a message, and I'm just waiting for her and see what kind of stuff that she wants.
All right, I'm just waiting to hear back from city staff to see at what state should this be in a repair. Should this order be rescinded and changed to a repair status, or what should we have it listed as?
Yes, so I've reviewed the repair form. I think there is an error on the form. What I would tell the commissioners that if you'd like, you can continue this. I'll have the inspector reassess it. Just by the video itself, to me, it does appear that this order should be in a repair status, but without actually doing that assessment, I want to be sure that we do it correctly for you. So if you'd like to continue it, we'll make sure that it is proper by your next hearing.
And it looks like the homeowner is doing a really good job with repairs here, and I want to commend him for that. I'd be in favor of continuing this to give more time. Sir, how long are you looking at right now?
So I'm waiting for the inspection for the insulation. I need to hear from Miss Cherry and see what kind of stuff is that she wants. I would like to give you a time. If this is not going to be an issue for Miss Cherry, I'm going to tell you we have people ready to start doing this drywall today. We, as you see it probably in the video, now if you go now, we already have the insulation in place. We already installed the insulation. We already have the drywall in the house, but guess what? I cannot do it until she tell me what kind of stuff, what kind of papers is that she wants.
I got a question for the city staff. So is this basically a I guess, a paperwork error or a misadjustment error that we are being requested by city staff to give a continuance about, because it's not at the level to where it should be being brought to us as commissioners. Is that what you're saying, Troy?
For 916 Silver Avenue, this was a case, if y'all remember, that was presented to y'all last year. And it was to come back because of ownership service. In this case here, what I'm looking at, and I believe what the error might be, is the inspector might have typed in one number different. I'm not certain until I get the document and test it. But in looking at the structure and looking at the cost that's marked on your cost estimate sheet that you have before you, I'm not seeing $26,286 listed. I'm wondering if that is a form error. I do see some high price items remaining, like the HVAC system, as well as the 200 amp system. And then the cabinets and things are listed in the house as well, with a higher number. I would like that opportunity just to evaluate it and not give a decision off the cuff for you, because we do follow a process. But if you would like to continue, we will make sure that it is evaluated and that it is proper. Mr. Sheffield, I believe the person he may be speaking about is your inspector. Yes, he may be looking at a framing inspection.
Well, the problem is we didn't do a framing inspection. He insulated the walls, the exterior walls, before we did the framing inspection. So that's one of the violations. The other violation is there's some footings that were poured and without an inspection, so it's an Appendix G, not an Appendix B that he's required to have. And he's got, I was just looking at y'all's video, the 2x10 header there that's carrying the ceiling joist is way overexpanded, and plus it's sitting on top of a window header. So we've got a header carrying a point load from another one. And so there's some violations there, but it doesn't have anything to do with y'all's case.
I got a question for the other commissioners. So I've been on the board for a while now, some years. And one of the things I've always noticed is that we've never ruled, so to speak, against the city. We've never, if there's an error, we tend to be pretty forgiving and say, well, we'll just continue it. Meanwhile, we'll continue it so that, the city can get their paperwork together or reevaluate or what have you. And the reason why I'm asking about the error system is kind of what Tracy Lamoth said, Commissioner Lamoth just said earlier, that we have a due diligence to work with the city and also work for our constituents. I believe that I work for my constituents mainly. And this is one of those cases where there was an error. We clearly see that the individual or the homeowner is working and playing within the confines of the rules. And, quite frankly, for them to take time, it's still going to cost him money because he's still being assessed the penalty every day. And there's nothing written in the system that's going to be able to change the penalty, right? Because that's a city and a state statute. So it's a statute that they have to go by. So their hands are kind of tied. Where we can kind of alleviate this is if we were to just dismiss the case due to errors in paperwork and errors that are kind of erroneous. It's one of those things where I don't have any doubt that this individual or this homeowner is going to repair their house. He's probably sunk more money into it than the fees that have been assessed. Not to mention, I remember this case, he's the new homeowner. The older person basically sold the house to them in this state and they were unaware. So it's just something that I think we should look at, because I've stated it before on the commission and I'll state it again. I'm wary of any institution that wins all the time. They're always right, they're never wrong, and you can only play within the confines of their statutes. And I just feel like this is one of those very interesting cases where you have a person who's working hard. We wouldn't know that he had done so much work and that it should be reassessed unless he had said something about it. So we have to stay within our due diligence to work within the confines. I'm all about I'm all about being fair and playing by the rules. And the rules should be, if paperwork and things aren't right, you should let that, you should dismiss that. It's almost like letting stuff go. You have to let it go. You can't cheat to win. And sometimes I feel that when we don't do that, and we always just give opportunity to the power that be, then we're giving a falsehood of what I consider true justice. And that's kind of where America is now. We're looking at situations in America where things aren't right. We know they're not right. And I'd say that the road is tilted, that grace is given to probably those that don't really need it. The city doesn't need it. He's obviously getting inspected. He obviously had to go down there and pull a permit. He got his stuff permitted. So it ain't like he's walking away scot-free. He still got to pay for that stuff. And I feel like this is just one of those cases where, you know, the paperwork is bad and we just need to dismiss this case and not be bothered with it. That's my opinion.
And I just, I want to make sure I understand everything that's going on here. I thought I heard Mr. Sheffield saying that there were some additional violations that he was spotting.
There are violations of the North Carolina State Building Code.
So Mr. Nolasco needs to get those straight, right? I mean, yes, definitely.
And they were put in his inspection. And as I was pointing out, he keeps saying he needs an Appendix B. It actually says he needs an Appendix G.
Okay.
Totally different.
And if Mr. Nolasco has any more specific questions about that, you can come and talk to the city people to make sure it's really super clear and everything, right? Is that?
Yes.
You can always
we've gone through stuff like this before, but if he talks to you guys, and I hear what he's saying about like he'd like to have a lot of the city people out there yesterday so he can move ahead, but by working with you guys, he could get it straightened out and everything. Is that a fair thing to say?
Well, he has to do what the inspector told him to do, but yeah.
Right. So, and if I could just, again, try to understand the situation that Mr. Nolasco, like if everything went smoothly, I can hear your frustration. If everything went smoothly, how long do you think it would take for you to wrap this thing up?
I would say probably 2 months. I mean, we're just drywall probably 1 week, and then floors, and then kitchen cabinets, and that should be done.
So I just want to, if I could just.
I went to talk to Mr. Will today, and he gave me the papers that we need, and I just need to get my architect. Now they require a stamp. This is the only thing that he said that the architect needs to file. Like I say, I'm working on it. I'm not just sitting here with my arms crossed because I want to be able to finish.
I believe you. I believe you. And my little editorial statement is we're in a housing crisis and we need more guys like you out there fixing all this stuff up. So, from that standpoint, you have my support. I would just say, I think you're hearing what the city's saying. I hear your frustration. I know that these penalties and stuff is accruing, but you as a builder, you are highly valued by everybody, and just push to get the city to respond, and do the things that they're telling you to do, and then it gets all wrapped up. And as far as I'm concerned, I think we're gonna wind up giving you the extension and stuff that you need. If it turns out like if all our dreams come true, and this is actually 2 months, even if we upheld the demolished thing, it wouldn't matter because you'd be safe. And I wouldn't, what I'm hearing is you shouldn't worry about this demolished thing and all that, and just push to get the thing done so you can get on to do more great work somewhere else and make more money somewhere else in the city. That's kind of like what I'm hearing. But I'm all in favor if there's a motion there to give Mr. Nolasco an extension. So he can wrap this up, get it figured out with the city, and then move on.
Well, actually, Commissioner Young, I was going to make a motion to dismiss this case, and when we wouldn't have to think about it, and he and the city would still work it out. Like the city inspections department for building inspections is different than the city minimum housing code compliance department. They're two different departments. And the reason why I was bringing that up was, like I said, if we see errors and stuff, I don't think it's fair to the person to hold them accountable for errors that are not of their making. And as the governing body that, you know, has the ability to be quasi-judicial, I don't see why we should give more time to give more time to the enforcement agency if they haven't done their due diligence and done what they're supposed to do. That's what my motion would be.
So commissioners, in this case here, while y'all been speaking, Supervisor Covington is the field supervisor in this case. He has had a chance to review the estimated repair cost. He is available for your questioning. He does stand by this report, and I support him in this report. So you have the violations before you. If you find that this structure is not in violation of the minimum housing code, then it can certainly be dismissed.
Personally, I see there are technical violations here. I think the homeowner is working very hard and doing great work to fix them. I'd be in favor of what Mr. Young proposed, which is a continuance to give him time to let him keep doing his great work.
So based upon past, and no, I won't say it that way. My recommendation is that we give Mr. Nolasco 6 months to wrap this thing up. If he gets it done in 2 months and the city's good with it, then, you know, that's even better. And he doesn't have to come back before us. But my motion is for 6 months.
And I'll second that. Oh. You got 2 seconds.
Thank you. Hearing the second for the motion to continue for 6 months, Commissioner Biggerstaff?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Isaacoff?
Yes.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Commissioner Lamoth?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yep.
And Commissioner Waddell?
Yes.
Thank you.
That passes unanimously. And Mr. Brown, I did want to say I appreciate your comments earlier about the language of what's read regarding the virtual hearings. I want to make sure it's as accessible as it can be to everyone. My understanding is you're going to submit legally compliant language by 5 p.m. on April 1st, which would be a week before the next meeting. And then we can look that over and we can discuss it at the next meeting. And I really appreciate you clarifying that and doing the work on that.
Yeah, that's no problem at all. And like I said, to my other commissioners, you know my perceptions. I know how things are. I really stand beside holding the state accountable 100%. I don't feel no type of loyalty to the state that has the ability to take people's homes and demolish them. That being said, I mean, I recognize that, you know, we're looking at violations. We're not the police. That's not our job. And I sit on other commissions where I have to tell other commissioners, like, that's not our job. We stick within our confines. Like, it's very easy to fall into a situation. Where you can believe that you are the enforcement. But I will always say this: if mistakes are made, then that's just how it fell. I feel that everyone should be given a certain level of grace. That's why I bring these things up.
And I agree with you. Thank you, Mr. Brown. I look forward to seeing what you have a week before next meeting.
Yep.
Moving on, I believe our last open case is number 7, which we held open. Has anyone showed up for that property?
Yes, sir. Mr. Shaw is on the call.
And may I interject? Mr. Nolasco is still waiting. We've concluded his case. May he be excused?
Yes, sir. Mr. Velasco, you have 6 months. We'll be back here at that point. If you are able to fix everything before then or get it up to code, please let your inspector know, call them out, and you don't have to come back here if your inspector signs off on it.
But I still have to pay the fees, right? Regardless.
Yeah. So what you can do is, if you have costs associated with these repairs, which I'm assuming based on your work you do, save your receipts. You can submit those to Mark Wayman in the city office.
You mean submit them to the division manager, Troy Powell?
Thank you for clarifying. Submit them to Mr. Powell, and those can be reduced down to $500.
Okay. All righty. Well, thank you so much.
Please save all your receipts, sir.
Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. I hope you have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you. You too. Moving on, I think it was mentioned that we had someone here for docket item 7, 2204 South Benbow Road.
That is correct. So I'll go ahead and read in the case if that's okay. 2204 South Benbow Road. The date of initial inspection was July 17th, 2020. The hearing was August 6, 2020. The order to demolish was issued 9/4/2020 and expired on October 4th, 2020. The property did not have to be secured. There are children in the area. There is a school nearby. There is not a history of police complaints. We are requesting an order to demolish as the repair cost is 83% of the tax value.
Thank you.
Mr. Shaw is on the call.
Mr. Shaw, let's get you sworn in.
Mr. Shaw, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I've sent a request to unmute. I've not had any response.
Okay.
Mr. Shaw? I think I saw him in the participants.
He is. He's in the room. I'm not getting a response from asking to unmute, and I just placed a note in the chat. Jared, do you have his number where you can call him?
Yeah, I'll do that now. I relayed the message. He should be unmuting himself here momentarily.
Mr. Chairman, if you want to handle the last two matters of your agenda, which include the withdrawals and the rescinding motions, maybe we can fix the technicality by that time.
I appreciate that. Thank you. We do have items 11 through 15 on the docket for withdrawal. Those addresses are 925 Hertford Street, 119 Beverly Place, 1512 Kenley Street, 1011 South Elm Street, 218 Marshall Street. Are there any motions from commissioners on those?
This is Commissioner Lamoth. I make a motion to withdraw the cases 11 through 15 due to
second that.
repairs.
Thank you. With a motion and a second, we'll call the question on that.
Commissioner Biggerstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Isaacoff?
Yes.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Commissioner Lamoth?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
and Commissioner Waddell.
Yes.
Thank you.
That passes unanimously, so those are withdrawn. Next up, items 16 through 21, request to rescind prior resolution. Through 25, I apologize for that. And those docket item addresses are 702 Memphis Street, 839 Broad Avenue, 820 Roberson Comer Road, 817-19 Summit Avenue, 624 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, 2101 Textile Drive, 2801 Horsepen Creek Road, 4101 Country Pine Lane, 2713 Buchanan Road, and 1408 Old Hickory Drive. Are there any motions on those properties?
I make a motion to rescind items 16 to 25.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Seeing several seconds, we'll call the question on that.
Thank you. Commissioner Biggerstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Isaacoff?
Yes.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Commissioner Lamoth?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
And Commissioner Waddell?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. That passes unanimously. So those are rescinded. Have we been able to get Mr. Shaw on the line?
I believe so. He's got a second thing here. Let me see if he can get on mute. Mr. Shaw?
Yes, yes, sir.
There you go.
We can go ahead and get him sworn in. Mr. Shaw?
Yeah.
Do you swear that everything you say today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
You may proceed.
Mr. Shaw, we need to ask for your consent to participate in this virtual hearing. You have a right to an in-person hearing regarding the code violations on your property.
Right.
If you choose to have an in-person hearing, the case will be postponed until such time that we are able to conduct in-person hearings. During that period, the commission will not make any findings regarding the property or issue any orders against you. However, you will continue to accrue civil penalties and reinspection fees for monthly safety inspections. Do you now consent to a virtual hearing, or would you prefer an in-person hearing?
I want to make sure, I want to secure the house. So can you give me some idea how to secure the house? And after 6 months, I can go ahead and demolish my house.
And sir, at the beginning, we just want to make sure you consent to this virtual meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So tell us what's going on at this property.
This property, which is kept like, date, every month, different date. I would like to give me some time for the secure board, properly, and give me some time so I can demolish in the house.
How long do you think you're looking at to demolish the house?
Approximately 6 months.
And do you have a plan? Have you talked to any demo contractors or anything like that?
No, I haven't talked to anybody, but I'm going to be.
Okay. And I'll note this is the second time this property was before us. The first was at our December meeting.
Right.
Commissioners, what are your thoughts?
I guess we make a motion to extend it out 6 months so we can have time to get it demolished or repaired.
Mr. Chairman, the
Yes,
information's not been read into the record by staff.
Let's do that, please.
Christy, will you read the information for this case into the record?
Yes, I'm sorry. I thought I had done that. I apologize. The date of initial inspection was July 17th, 2020. The date of the hearing was August 6, 2020. The order to demolish was issued September 4th, 2020 and expired October 4th, 2020. The property did not have to be secured. There are children in the area. There is a school nearby. There is not a history of police complaints. We are seeking an order to demolish as the tax value is 83% of the tax value.
Thank you. So having that read into the record, I understand there was a motion from Mr. Brown for a 6-month continuance. Is that right, Mr. Brown?
That is correct.
All right. Do we have a second for that?
I'll second that.
From Ms. Lamoth. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the question on that.
Thank you. Commissioner Biggerstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Isaacoff?
Yes.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Commissioner Lamoth?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
And Commissioner Waddell?
Yes.
Thank you.
That motion passes unanimously. Mr. Shaw, what that means is this case is continued till September 9th.
Okay.
If you're able to demolish it before then, that's you a 6-month window. Then let your inspector know. If they say it was properly demolished, you don't need to come back here.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right.
And I believe that concludes all of our cases on today's docket. I understand we'll be moving from public into private session. We have one other item, not confidential session, but moving into administrative issues, moving into electing a new vice chair. So I think the proper procedure would be at this point, we would accept nominations. Ms. Nazem has resigned, as we informed the commission a couple days ago. Her position of vice chair is open for election.
So I'd like to make a nomination of Commissioner Brown to the position of vice chair. And if I could also just add one more thing too. I actually took the time to read Commissioner Nazem's letter of resignation, and she is certainly free to, write whatever she wants to write. I would just go on record as saying I find the kind of accusations and statements she's making. I have never seen, witnessed, observed such behavior that she's reporting in her letter of resignation, and I just want to put that on record. So anyway, that's my that was my editorial thing, but my motion was for Mr. Brown to be vice chair.
Mr. Brown, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Are there any further nominations?
I'd like, and I have not spoken to her yet, but I'd like to nominate Commissioner Waddell as our vice chair.
We have a nomination. I'm gonna decline because I need to have some more experience on the commission. Okay, thank you.
Noting that declination of that nomination, are there any further nominations? Seeing none, is there any commentary?
I think you and Commissioner Brown would make a great team, and I've got every confidence in the both of you to lead us. So that's my commentary, Mr. Chair.
Hey, I'm gonna be honest with you. I just read. Hey, I'm glad y'all. I'm glad I didn't ever read that letter. I found that letter, Peter. Let's just say that letter's pretty tough, man. But you know, hey, it ain't the first time that somebody done said something rough, and ain't gonna be the last. So I appreciate the if y'all want me to serve on there, you know, just know you getting what you pay for over here. I give you 100%. That you already know.
Mr. Brown, as you know, I enjoy working with you. I do want to say.
Oh, sorry. Y'all can hear that? Sorry about that. Go ahead. Doing some sweating. Go ahead.
I want to make sure you understand the role of vice chair. Part of that is promoting the efficiency of this commission. That includes not belittling staff or fellow commissioners, not making comments that would be offensive to a person of a certain gender, not threatening to burn the city down as you've done.
I could not name one time where I threatened to burn the city down in that verbiage.
Mr. Brown, as you're wont to say, I'm glad this is on the record and previous statements are on the record because you've said that twice, once at the August 2020 meeting for anyone in the public who wants to look it up, once in the subcommittee meetings that we've had on improving racial equality in housing in Greensboro, especially in light of the Capitol attacks on January 6th. Where
where those people like tried to run in there and burn the Capitol down. Yeah, I definitely said that. But there was no part of my conversation that stated that we'll be doing anything of that level. I just said that it could happen because people are feeling some type of way about it.
Officers that committed suicide. I'm very concerned about that type of rhetoric.
Okay.
And I expect that you're going to rise to the occasion.
Well, I mean, you don't have to vote for me, but you served with me for a while, so you should know who you're talking to. Like, you know how I am, right? Like, I'm not mixing no calls. I don't understand this even level of communication because you already know how I am. And I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm not saying I'm the worst, but you know, I state my piece and I'll say how I feel. And that's what I'm supposed to do. And that's what I'm going to do.
I know how you
that
are.
I can promise you.
And I'm asking if you're stepping up as a leader, and I look forward to working with you, that you focus on those types of statements are not acceptable anymore.
Are you like telling me what I can and can't say or something?
I would not condone any calls for violence from the bench.
I don't know of anybody who said we should go do any violence, and I'm pretty sure of that.
Quentin,
so what are you referencing when someone said violence?
You have made those comments several times. They're on the record. I'm concerned.
City staff, would you please make it a point to reference these comments? Is there a way we can see a video or record through our minutes where violence has been advocated? I'm sure we can find it.
August meeting and a later meeting from the subcommittee, you have said those. I'm concerned that you're not acknowledging that now. Well, but I do want to say that that is unacceptable. Comments against women are unacceptable.
I don't know when someone said a comment against women either. Listen, okay. If you are like trying to tell me like how to talk, or you're trying to talk to me in a condescending way, this conversation is going to take a left to which you don't want it to go. No one has said any of those things. I understand your feelings on it, but as a childish rhetoric that we're going through now, not necessary. If they want me to be the chair and I get your position on the record today, you never said that. I understand what you're trying to do on the record, and here's what I'm saying to you: if I get voted in as a vice chair for whatever reason, then that's what it is. Now, I understand you don't want to see that, or you may have an issue with that. That's on you. But I don't need anybody to try to tell me how to talk as though I'm a child, because there's no children on this commission.
I'm concerned that you refuse to acknowledge things you've said previously.
I'm concerned with many things. You should be concerned, and I should be concerned. I guess this is a good interaction, so people will see how well we're going to work together. Let's see how it goes.
I look forward to working with you. I'd welcome the opportunity to talk with you, get to know you personally, as I've extended numerous times before. I don't want to have.
There's a reason why they haven't been accepted, Peter, and this is probably one of the reasons why. You need to look into what you're talking to now. I don't appreciate being talked to in a condescending manner or talked to as though I don't know how to speak. If I'm not mistaken, I think we're all in here quite educated. All of us.
And I don't appreciate people not acknowledging what they say on public record.
Well, you're a lawyer, so I'm 100% sure that you've been around people who don't acknowledge what they say. Life goes on.
Any reporter can look it up.
Well, then feel free to look it up. Is there anything else?
I would like to extend the opportunity again for us to collaborate and work together rather than divisiveness. I've asked you this on the record before. You said yes, you didn't follow through. Would you be willing to meet?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, legal counsel is trying to get your attention.
And I appreciate the candor of the conversation that y'all are having, and would encourage y'all to have this conversation. Probably appropriate to have it outside of the meeting, but there is a nomination on the floor. If there's a second to that nomination, would like to move it forward for vote.
I seconded a while back.
Thank you, Commissioner Waddell.
You have a motion and a second. We'll call the question.
Commissioner Biggerstaff.
No.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Isaacoff.
Abstain.
The look on my face is I'm trying to think through what abstaining means in terms of the meeting under the public record laws. Since you are here, I'm pretty sure abstain goes down as a yes vote.
It will go, an abstention will go in the prevailing favor. So if it fails, it'll go toward that favor. If it passes, it'll go toward that.
All right. Thank you for clarifying.
That's my understanding and my intention.
Thank you. Commissioner Scott. You're muted, Commissioner Scott, sorry.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Lamoth.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
And Commissioner Waddell.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yeses, which would be the majority. Commissioner Isaacoff would go towards the prevailing vote. So that would be 6 yes and then 1 no. Mr. Paladin, is that your tally as well?
That is correct.
Very good. Thank you all.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, I'd encourage the chance for us to meet together and get to know each other. I think collaborating rather than having divisiveness is a good thing. And that's how I want to leave my position.
Are you like asking a question or are you making a statement?
I'd ask that we get to know each other a little better, talk, figure out how we could work together well.
Since we're continuing to create a public record and we have completed the agenda, I hope it's not inappropriate, but I would recommend that we conclude the meeting and defer to Commissioner Isaacoff and Commissioner Brown if they want to meet. We'll let y'all arrange that outside of the public record of the meeting.
I appreciate that.
I think we need a motion to adjourn. Is that correct?
I make a motion to end the meeting.
Noting that Mr. Brown has been voted into vice chair, I understand Ms. Lamoth has a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And was there a second?
Second.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote on that.
Commissioner Biggerstaff.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Isaacoff.
Yes.
Commissioner Scott.
Yes.
Commissioner Lamoth.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown. You're muted, Commissioner Brown. Sorry.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Waddell.
Yes.
Thank you. And if I may say, folks, my first meeting obviously has been your council, handling it by myself. Appreciate your patience. I'm one to raise my hand when I'm not confident on something and let you know I need to check something out. So going forward, again, I'll appreciate your patience in the future, but thank you all very much.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Baker. Noting that the motion to adjourn passes unanimously, this meeting is hereby adjourned. Take care,
everybody.